Hey gang, thank you for joining me. Ready to go with day 2 on this nice little cityscape, streetscape of a small town about 35 miles from me called Holly Springs, North Carolina. This is a commissioned painting. It's going to hang evidently in a hospital down there in Holly Springs. This job came to me through Wendy, the proprietor of Bev's Fine Arts, the finest fine art gallery in Raleigh, North Carolina. And if you want to see what got me to this point, then by all means go back and watch my last broadcast yesterday. Let me just mention a couple things. I'm doing an experiment here of, I actually, in between, this is all acrylics, and in between some of the layers I applied rubber cement. And then this morning, last night and this morning, removed the rubber cement. And that's why these strange white areas. The experiment was it was successful because I learned what doesn't work so well. It worked last time, it's something different this time, and it may be because I dried it with a heat gun. That can definitely make a difference. So I'll not do that again. What didn't work is the rubber cement lifted off most of the paint that was underneath it. So like all this stuff that's white, it's not supposed to be white. All those white areas are supposed to have fascinating colors in them. No big deal, it'll work. I don't want to dwell on this too long, but why in the world would I do such a thing? Go back and listen to yesterday's broadcast where I explained more why I'm doing it. Yesterday I said I'm throwing myself a curveball. I'm a good drawer, good renderer, like many of you are. So in a sense, I throw myself every curveball in the world. I try to mess myself up in many, and it will continue today to do that. Let me go back though and talk about this slightly failed experiment. The only thing that's failed about it is what's white here is supposed to have different colors in it, so it didn't work so well. I'll work out the bugs and I'll get back to you. But it makes me think of someone might say, well, why would you experiment on a commissioned painting? Well, these people know me, they know my art, they know my painting. But here's the real answer to that question, and I've talked about this before, but it's been quite a while. I'll just take just a second for you, any artists that are watching me, to talk about what I call the creativity donut. This can be a helpful concept for those of you who are halfway in your art journey. So this is a lovely cream-filled, icing frosted with sparkles donut. You know, your basic Dunkin' Donuts, not Krispy Kreme because it's got dot. Anyway, never mind. All right, if you're a kid or you're a person and you want to take a bite out of this donut, there's two places you don't want to bite. You don't want to bite way out here in the air because you missed the donut and you're just biting air. Likewise, you don't want to bite here in the middle in the hole because you're missing the donut and it's getting air. All right, bear with me. So you don't eat this part out here, that's air, and you don't eat this part in here, that's air. You want to eat this part. All right, so I should have a different color. Let's see if I do. What does that have to do with creativity? I'm looking for a different color marker and I don't have it. All right, continue. All right. Here's the deal. You are an artist. You are a creative person. But you can take your creativity too far and do crazy things. So this is actually a graph. It can be an XY axis. Let's just make it a graph this way. So it's kind of like a bullseye and a target. And if you do wild and crazy, here's woohoo, woohoo, wild and crazy experiments, your creativity is not very productive because it's too crazy. Likewise, if you stay real conservative and always do the same exact thing, every painting, over and over, over and over, over and over, no experimentation, no busting out, you're in the hole. You're not, your creativity is, you don't have enough creativity. So it's possible to have too much creativity. By the way, this is where most college art, virtually all college art students are out here. All the work I did in college was a boatload of crap, because, well, almost all of it, because it was out here. I was being crazy, and my professors were not very good at reining this in. Anyway, that's another story. Many conservative, realistic art painters, artists are in here. They don't experiment enough. So you want to experiment somewhat, a little bit, not too much. So that's the donut part, get it? So every painting I do has a little bit of experimentation in it. Not crazy, wild, goofball, screwball experimentation. Just a little bit. All right, that's creativity donut. Hope that was interesting, if not helpful. So that's what this is for me. This is moderate experimentation. If you probably, just let me take a guess, if you were to experiment doing rubber cement on your painting, it'd be way outside the bounds, okay? So, but that's because that's where I am. Anyway, let's start painting here. And the first thing I'm going to do today is, believe it or not, I'm going to throw myself more curveballs. These are oil painting sticks, not to be confused with oil pastels. See, it's a stick of oil paint, literally. And once again, I'm throwing myself curveballs. All of these marks, you can tell, none of these marks have anything to do with realism. They're in fact quite violently anti-realistic, as you can see. All right? Why do you do that? Someone might say, and the answer is, I'm a good drawer. I'm not sweating. I'm not sweating over whether I am going to be able to accurately render this subject matter. I can do that in my sleep, so to speak. That's not the challenge. The challenge for me is to make something interesting out of this painting. All right. So keep watching and you'll see what happens to all of this. All right, now the next thing, again, for you, anybody new, my main medium that I use in oil painting is liquid. I use others occasionally, but that's the main thing, and that's what I'm using right now. Liquid is transparent, makes the paint thin, transparent, clear, like glass, and it dries fast. So both of those are both valuable traits to me, transparent and fast drying. And the third is it dries glossy. That's also valuable to me. All right, I have just put permanent rose. In other words, about 95% liquid and 5% paint on my brush, okay? I'm painting with liquid, primarily, with just a tinted liquid. All right, and you can see that those oil stick marks that I put down are already beginning to get smeared out, spread out, mixed up with what I just put on, right? Hang on a second, I'm going to go to the kitchen and get some paper towels. I want be able to wipe off these brushes without swishing them in Gamsol. You know, just want to give them a moderate, quick clean, not a thorough cleaning. So I'm just rubbing them here on paper towels. All right. So again, not a thorough cleaning. They're still dirty, but cleaner than they were. All right. Now I'm going to pick up Indian yellow on these dirty brushes. I explained yesterday. Again, please don't ask me any questions in the comments. If you're watching today, please don't ask me about all the stuff I did yesterday, okay? If you want to know what I did yesterday, go back and watch yesterday's video, all right? I'm getting a little crotchety in my old age, aren't I? Okay, a little bit more liquid, and again, Indian yellow is my favorite, by far, my favorite yellow color. Favorite yellow paint. You need a little bit of something, cad yellow light or something like that. Yellow at the moment. And let me just point out here that if you're watching me at the beginning, I had a big green streak. Let me get out my oil sticks again just to show you, okay? So brand is R&F, whoops, R&F, and I made a bunch of abstract marks. You can still see this one, but look how it's starting to fade down here, which is nice, and you can barely see it there. You can still see it quite strongly up here, and so on and so forth. But again, just want to point out that the crazy stuff that I was doing at the beginning, it wasn't quite as crazy as it looked, because I knew the next thing I was going to do was glaze. And if I want that to disappear, I just rub it, and it disappears. But usually I don't. Usually I want it to continue to be manifest or apparent or visible to a certain degree. Does that make sense? Cleaning my brushes again. Going through paper towels at an alarming rate. But sometimes, as an artist, that's just what you have to do. All right, next color. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the warm stuff here for a minute, but I'm going to put now oxide red, which is brown. It's called oxide red, but you know, a kid would call it brown, and it's a very warm orange-ish brown, very similar to burnt sienna, all right, with some Indian yellow, okay, for the middle area. Don't forget the sides of the painting. Right now, let's add more Indian yellow to that. Now let me tell you, the very next step, the next thing I'm going to do after I glaze the whole painting with any colors I feel like, any number of colors, the next thing I'm going to do is remove paint from the canvas with rags, all right? So some of what I'm doing right now, I'm not worried about because I'm aware of what's coming next, okay? So you are too now. The next thing I'm going to do, like for instance, this is way too dark. No, whoops, sorry, I left you stranded. This is way too dark. Not to worry, I will be lifting some of that out. Okay, now I'm ready to go to some cool glazes. By this is, I use all different colors to glaze with, but most typically I do a bunch of warm and a bunch of cool glazes, warm and cool, okay? And this painting is no exception. So now I've got, again, on these brushes that were slightly dirty, I wiped them off on a paper towel, but I didn't clean them per se. I just wiped them off, and then I picked up ultramarine blue. Okay, don't forget. For me, I paint the sides of all my paintings are done on 1.5 inch canvas. So I paint the edges so that I don't need to mess with framing on my paintings. All right, now I'm going to do just intuitive, whatever I want. I want some brownish stuff down here. So I did some more oxide red on top of or mixed in with what was ultramarine blue. That was nice, but now I want some purple down there. How come? I don't know. That I can't explain that. Because I have a little bit of blue here, purple here, brown here, blue here, and I don't know. I just felt like purple. It's pretty common for me to use purple in the corners, by the way, because in the world of transparent colors are different from opaque or mixed on your canvas type. And in the world of transparent colors, purple is dark. Purple is the darkest transparent color. So, not a surprise that I let that corner go dark purple. I'm going to do a similar, so you all know that's called a vignette, when the corners go dark. It's a vignette. It could also go light, by the way. You can do this a similar up here in the sky, again with dirty brushes. I have purple oxide, dioxazine violet, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I don't care what it's called. I'm just saying that for you engineers that want to know what color is that. I could care less. To me, it's purple. All right, is that enough? Again, it's dirty purple because I didn't clean my brushes, right? So it's mixed up. All right, I think it's good enough. Now later I will clean those brushes. I'll give them a little swish right now. And now, as I mentioned earlier, negative painting, if you will. That is to say, negative painting, I use that expression to refer to two different things, so sorry about that. In this case, what I mean by negative painting is removing paint from the canvas. Okay. And yes, you can use paper towel, but I don't like it. It's too likely to leave lint. It's too scratchy. It's too whatever. So this is cotton rags, much better. And now all I'm looking for right now is values. Which bits of this painting do I want lighter? And clearly the fronts of that building, and I'm not, of course, as you could, I hope you can discern, I am not rubbing off all the paint I just put on there. Right? I could do that if I rub real hard. I can remove it all, but by just going like this, I'm just taking off some of it. That answers some of your questions. Some of you, not quite as experienced painters, might say, well, if you're going to take it off, why did you put it on in the first place? And now you know the answer. Also, that shows me that you are not a furniture refinisher, right? Because anybody's refinishes good furniture, I don't mean polyurethane, which is what I normally do, but if you do real good furniture, hand rubbed finish, right, means what it says. Why, if you're going to put it on, why'd you put it on? If you're going to take it off, why'd you put it on the first one? All right, enough of that. There's no shame in not being a furniture refinisher, but my point is that this principle of putting on, taking off, exists in many areas of human endeavor, not just oil painting. All right, so I'm just about done, I think, with stuff that I want light in value, not little details, pretty much just the big areas, big zones, as I like to call it. Maybe a little bit up here in the sky. All right, now let me take a breath. Please keep breathing. Whatever you do, Dan, keep breathing. Is the painting, at this point, I have to ask myself, is the painting cohesing? Is it coming together as a composition? And I think that it is. Well, I'm going to make one slight change right now. I don't like this with the rubbing out. I rubbed out too much, so I'm going to replace a little bit, soften that edge, and I'm going to change the color of it also. Going back to blue. All right, is it coming together? And I think it is. It's essentially a barbell, light or mid-tone and light here, dark here and dark here. Well, no, this is straight, dark here. Anyway, I don't want to get into a big discussion of composition. Maybe later. I don't want to take that detour right now. All right. Hello, Stein. Good to have you on board. I appreciate you watching and appreciate you making a comment. Typically at this point, most often I do another drawing layer, either with small brushes, dark transparent paint, lines of paint, or pencil. And there's no right or wrong. I'm trying to decide. I think I'm going to go pencil this time. So once again, let me show you this. These are, you can see Jumbo Jet Black, distributed by Jerry's Artorama. They're a wax-based pencil or an oil-based pencil, same thing. And I've been using these for 4 or 5 years in my paintings and just like the effect very much. Of course they're good for drawing, of course, but more than that, I like the effect that is achieved when the scratchy pencil lines mixed in with the smushy paint lines. Okay, I'm making a drawing correction this late in the game. I realized when I came and looked at my painting today that I'd made that street light just a little bit too large, so I just made it smaller. Now, there's still here and there throughout the painting there, I could still see pencil lines left over from earlier layers. I've done pencil about, I don't know, probably 3 times already in this painting. Another change, I'm changing my mind again. Let me zoom in here so you can explain what I mentioned. I drew, this time I had this lamp about this big, and I shrunk it, make it that big. Down here, I had this crossbar there. I just changed my mind, decided it should go down. Again, I talked about that quite a bit yesterday, about giving yourself permission to change your mind about your drawings, to change your mind. There does come a point in the painting process when it's too late to change your mind. You can't add, you can't do it anymore without suffering. And I'm about 2 steps, or maybe 1 step from that point. So it's not at all too late. I'm not worried about it at all. But the moment comes when you are not allowed to add anymore. But I'm not quite there yet. So, I'm not even, close enough to be nervous about it. At the end of this pencil phase, my painting will be too pencil-y. It will have too much pencil in it. Is it registering? I'm using pencils right now, which, by the way, is not at all a typical, traditional, conventional, whatever word you want to use. This is not traditional oil painting. You don't typically use pencils. In the olden days, people would do a charcoal sketch underneath their oil painting. This does not correlate to that, because in that world, the artist had no intention of those charcoal lines still being visible in the finished painting. Right? In what I'm doing here, I very much do want many of these pencil lines to be still visible in the finished painting. Get it? That's the difference between what I'm doing and what a traditional person might do with charcoal sticks. This is not that. These marks that I'm making are, in fact, just a part of the finished painting. Okay, let me go back to what I started to say, though, that building number 205. I'm glad I just saw that. I hadn't paid any attention to that up to now. 205. All right. At the end of this stage, the painting will, in fact, have too much pencil in it. I like to say, witness my distress. In other words, there is none. I am not distressed about that at all. Because, as a matter of fact, let me back up a little. Again, for anybody who's watching who is not familiar with me or my work, one of the characteristics, again, I didn't set out to be a weird painter, it just turned out that way. Donut hole of creativity. One of the characteristics of my approach to painting is layer, 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 layer. Phase 1, 2, phase 3, 4, phase 5, 6, 7, 8. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, okay? And in each phase or layer, I typically I'm focused on essentially one issue, one problem. And with this layer right here, that is light black pencil, what am I concerned with? Drawing, right. Similitude, accuracy, correct placement of things, right. So for instance, I have no interest right now in values, a little bit in shape, no interest in texture other than the fact that the lines are in fact creating a texture, but I'm not going to be scribbling and creating pencil texture. So I'm just focused in one thing at the moment, and that is drawing. And as I said, at the end of this stage, there'll be too much pencil. Well, not only that, listen to this. If I do 20 layers in my painting, at the end of every single layer, no matter what it is, at the end of that layer, there's too much of what I just did. If I do a glazing layer, guess what? There's too much glazing. At the end of a color layer, guess what? Too much color. Blah, 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 blah. So I'm just pointing out that because some of you would notice, like, man, that's way, you know, I always can hear a forgive me, I can always picture a grump-ass art professor perhaps observing, or actually one of his students bringing my work to his attention and say, Mr. Grump-ass, Dan Nelson, he's a good painter, and he uses pencils in his painting. And I can hear Mr. Grump-ass professor going, if it's a painting, you don't draw. I know those types really well. Maybe I am one. Anyway, so I don't even worry in the pencil stage whether I'm doing too much. I just do a whole bunch. Just have fun. Just do it. Why? Because in the 7, 8, 9 layers that I have to go yet, much of this pencil will be covered over. Enough said? Good. Got it. So I don't worry about overdoing it. Go right ahead and overdo it. Now, I'm going to sit down for just a minute because I have inserted in the photograph. This is several things in this are photoshopped. There was actually something in the way of this building. I think it was a sandwich sign was over here. I moved the sandwich sign over, found a photograph of this building from another picture that I took. A picture of this, the building really is there. Anyway, I did a whole bunch of photoshopping, and one of the things that I did in Photoshop was add a car into this painting. And look at me now, I'm not painting with two hands, I'm sitting down, I'm holding the pencil in the death control grip, the wrong way to hold a pencil or a brush, right? And so I'm doing a whole bunch of things wrong. Get over it. This is the time for anal retentive painting. Okay, this is the time for getting it right. It doesn't mean the finished rendering of this car doesn't mean it won't be loose. It will indeed, but I want it loose and accurate. Oh, by the way, there we go. That brings up a good topic. That is why, that's a great example of why I no longer use the term loose. I did use it for many years, just like every other art teacher you've ever heard, just about painting teacher. They say, no, we want, that is very misleading. Every student artist, every early journey art painter, when they hear the term loose, it connotes to them inaccuracy of drawing, messy drawing, inaccurate drawing. I swear it does. And that is misleading, because that is not at all what I mean or we mean by loose. No, I want accurate, tight-ass drawing. Okay? I want accurate. Me, myself, just not everybody. It's not a whole world of crazy modern, early 20th century modern painters. They didn't want accurate. Blah, blah. That's another story for another time. I won't get into it. But in fact, I do want accurate drawing. So that's why if you're a early journey painter, throw that loose terminology out the window. You do not want loose. I've replaced that term with energetic, energy-filled, energetic or energy-filled brush strokes, not loose. Energy is the point. That is a good description. Loose is a bad description. So once again, why do I do pencil? Partly, as you can see, the effect is quite clear. That I have, my painting has taken several steps forward toward accurate rendering, realism. But obviously you also have to take everything I just said in the context, because it's manifestly clear. I mean, it's as obvious as the nose on my face or the ear on the back of my head that I'm not trying to achieve photographic realism. I mean, it's almost a joke to even say it, isn't it? Because it's so obvious that that's not what I'm after. Okay, a couple pedestrians over here, and they were in here a long time ago, and then they got wiped out. So let's add them back. Just because, so I got a car, pedestrians, and a woman sitting in the porch over here for those, I will say, all important psychological focal points. Okay. This is a small town, cityscape. Every small town should have people in it. There you go. How do you like that? So should every big city, by the way, should have people. If you want to do a painting of a big city, duh, it should have people in it. Okay, I'm nearly finished here. I'm going to draw this street light. All right. Those marks are purely abstract, not meant to indicate anything at all. Whoops, sorry, I just kicked you. I hate it when I kick you guys. Let me see if I can fix you. All right, next question. Hello, Utah Rail Server. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Makes me happy. I mean, your comments make me happy too, but no, my painting makes me happy. It's always nice when that happens. Okay, at this point, once again, I have a decision to make. In the olden days, that is, earlier in my creativity donut journey. So I'm always evolving, and if you're a good artist, you're always evolving too, in my humble opinion. In my early days, the next step would be dark details with brushes, small brushes, dark details. That has been sometimes replaced by the relatively new fuzz layer. No, you know what I'm going to do? Yeah, I'm going to go back to the old. One of the nice things about this painting does not have to be done today. I just changed I've got a lot of other stuff I need to do today, and I just relieved myself of a significant problem. If I do dark details now, dark transparent colors, right? All dark is transparent, by the way. Unless you're doing a portrait, another story, never mind. All dark is transparent, not opaque. If I do that and then I do the fuzz layer immediately, then of course it's wet and wet, and it creates an interesting, though challenging, mixture, because the fuzz layer is opaque light stuff mixing with the dark. Anyway, so here's what I'm going to do. Since I don't have to have this painting all finished today, which means this particular broadcast is going to be appropriately shortened. It shortened to like yesterday's broadcast was 2 hours long. That's why not very many people watch my broadcast, because I drone on for eternity, right? Don't worry, I know what's going on here. So today's broadcast will be a little bit more moderate and appropriate for a YouTube audience. I'm going to do dark details, transparent colors. And okay, next question, what color? Well, at the moment I'm using oxide red, but don't count on it. The answer is different colors. Sometimes dark neutrals, like what I call dark black, B-L-E-C-K, dark neutral tones, sometimes. But more often than not, we want yes color in our paintings more than no color. That is to say, given the choice, our eyes would rather have more color than less color. I don't mean literally no color, but I'm just trying to say it in a creative, interesting way. Generally speaking, our eyes, the human eye, enjoys more color, not less. Generally, all things being equal, of course, many times things are not equal. All right. So at the moment, I'm doing oxide red, which, as you know, is brown, and it's a very orange-ish brown color. But I will be switching several times throughout this process. I'm just going to use this brown for a little bit longer, and then I will start switching to any other color I want. Red, blue, purple, green, as long as it's dark. So I won't be using dark yellow, for instance. It's not dark enough, right? In fact, I'm going to mix up some blue with this brown right now. So right at the moment here now, I'm using what I just mentioned. I'm painting dark black, B-L-E-C-K, my joke. Dark black, B-L-E-C-K, which means neutral tone, typically achieved by me by mixing brown and blue together. You can get also beautiful black colors, B-L-E-C-K, again being mildly funny, not side-slapping, uproariously funny, just, you know. You can get beautiful dark neutral tones by mixing green and purple. Again, they both need to be transparent, of course. You can't use like oxide green, but more like a viridian green. You can get beautiful colors by mixing those two together. But at the moment, I'm doing my most common. Let me point out, I mentioned this yesterday. I doctored a lot of this photograph in Photoshop, so this has become essentially my rough sketch. Okay, the car was not there. I already mentioned the sandwich sign. I moved over. I removed some objects down here, and so on and so on and so forth. Enough said. But there's one thing I didn't move much was this tree, and it's a bad placement. It's almost exactly. It's a big blob. Big green blob right in the exact center of this painting, almost the exact center, and that is not comfortable. So let me show you what you'll see here, what I've done. First of all, it's going to be an early springtime painting, which leaves just beginning to come out on both of these trees, one here and one here. So it'll be mostly sticks with sky behind it. But I've moved it to the right a little bit, and I made it much taller. I'm not sure that it's going to go. I have lines going all the way up off the top of the canvas. I'm not sure that that's going to happen, but that's a comfortable composition, comfortable placement for that tree now, and that was a conscious decision I made, because I noticed in the photographs, like, ooh, I've made that mistake before, you know. A big blob object in the middle of the painting. Generally, not a happy composition. Okay. I'm still using. It's more of a brown on my brushes. Not sure about the placement of this car. I think it needs to be a little bit lower. I'm not sure that I fully explained. Hang on. All of a sudden I wondered about I'm wondering about putting another car here. Hang on, let me stand back and look at this. Yeah. Yeah. Wait. Late coming, incoming. I'm going to add a car right there. Why? Just simply because it adds a little bit more human action, a little more action. And it's a parked car, so it's not like intense action, but a little bit more activity, human activity, by putting a parked car right there. Yeah, because that anyway, that's all I think that's a good decision. We'll all find out together whether it's a good one or not. You will maybe notice that many of my strokes, even though they're definitive, that is, that I am in fact defining the object, defining this courthouse, I think it is. I'm not sure what it is. It's kind of a churchy shaped colonial building, but I don't think it's a church. I think it's some kind of, doesn't matter what it is. I've got a picture of it, and that's, whoa, it's got flags in front of it. And flags are nice. I completely missed that until now. What's that? Flags in small town streets are very, very nice. And there's actually 2 flags, but I'm not sure I can fit both of them in, so I'll do 2 poles. So, all right. I was saying many of my strokes are they're definitive, and yet I'll go beyond definition. Like I made this mark, just go off that courthouse building, flying into the sky. Why? Because it looks good. Oh boy, never mind. If I have the energy, I'll explain more. I've explained it many times, just don't want to do it right now. All right, so I just wiped off my brushes and switched to purple, dirty purple, because I didn't clean my brushes thoroughly. I think one of the things I want over here is a ladder back rocking chair. Why? Well, first of all, because there are in fact rocking chairs on the porch. That's nice. The far one, the distant rocking chair, has a person in it. There she is right there. It's a nice little touch. But once again, because a rocking chair has the connotation of human habitation, human life, human energy, again, it creates a little bit more psychological energy in the painting. A rocking chair does, right? It's a warm feeling. So glad it's been in the plans all the way along. This is the very first layer where I'm down to the level of detail. Essentially, every layer gets slightly more accurate and slightly more detailed than the one before, generally speaking, except for the glazing layers, okay, which they are not at all concerned with detail there. But every drawing layer, every drawing phase becomes slightly more detailed. So that's why I just did my first attempt at rocking chair right there. And this is a chalkboard here, the sandwich sign, typical, typical small business sandwich sign with chalkboard and hand lettering on it. I don't know if I'll be trying to give any hint of chalk. It's very possible. Well, maybe just like this. Hang on. Maybe just like this. Yeah, that would be the extent of it right there. Yeah, good enough. I'm going to add some ultraviolet blue to this dirty purple. So now I've got more of a bluish purple. And shingles. There's a tree coming into the upper right-hand corner, and that's literal, by the way. There really was a tree. Actually, in actuality, the tree came down much farther than that in the photograph, and I photoshopped it. It's another modification I made. Also, just for what it's worth, in the photograph that I took, the branches were, many of them, perfectly parallel to the pitch of the roof. So that's a bad thing, right? So I changed it to make sure that that awkward parallelism didn't carry on into my painting. That's, of course, accomplished quite a long time ago, so don't have to worry about that. There's some windows over here in this courthouse. Some bushes. I hadn't done much of those bushes yet. Now, yes, shadows. I've got good color on my brushes for shadows already, kind of a purplish blue, but dirty purple blue. The afternoon that I was in Holly Springs, North Carolina, taking pictures, I mentioned this yesterday, as soon as I rolled into town and drove around for a small town, as soon as I drove around for 3 or 4, 5 minutes, I spotted this, jumped out of my car, spotted this scene. Here's a little bit more what it looked like right there. Spotted that and said, I bet that's it. I bet that's my my shot, money shot, if you will, right there. And I went around. I continued to drive and walk around town for several more minutes, and took other pictures. But in the back of my mind, the whole time, I'm thinking, yeah, that this is just safety B-roll, because I think I already got. And it turns out I was exactly correct. When I came back to the comfort of my studio and at a leisurely manner, opened up all my photographs, indeed, it was right. Why did I tell you? Oh, I know, because the sun, indeed, of course, was coming from the right. We're looking south, that's west, sun's going down. But as you can see, I have exaggerated the pitch, the angle of the sun somewhat. Oh, let me go back. I'm sorry. I didn't. If you weren't here yesterday, which most of you, I'm assuming you were not, I've misled you drastically here already. You think this is going to be like a sunset, yellow, orange, pink sky. Nothing. I'm exaggerating, saying nothing could be further from the truth. Well, a lot of things could be further from the truth, but you know the expression. No. This is going to be a blue sky. More like this. Not quite, not that blue, of course. That's just a blue sky I got off Google image search, and then put up there, because what was there was a pure blue sky, which, by the way, if you're a portrait, no, I don't care if you're a portrait painter. If you're a landscape painter, pure blue skies are almost always a disaster. Do not, unless there's something weird going on, you have some special reason for doing so, never paint a pure blue sky in a landscape, okay? You heard it here, folks. At least don't do it till you grow up to the point that you have every rule can be broken, right? Every rule can be broken, but until you have some reason, specific, concrete reason for violating that rule, just make that a rule. No pure blue skies. All right, but this is going to be a blue sky, and the underpainting, because there's quite a bit of blue, quite a bit of sky in this painting. Almost a third of the painting is sky. Therefore, my underpainting is complementary, is opposite. So it's pink, orange, yellow, pink, orange, yellow. It's all going to be blue, different shades of blue. Wait a minute. Some of you are saying, you just said don't. No, come on, give me a break, shut up. Don't do a plain blue sky with no clouds in it. That's what I mean. You're a landscape painter, unless you've got some reason for a pure blue sky, besides the fact that you're a lousy painter. Besides that one, don't do pure blue skies. Okay, now just a minute ago I said this is going to be blue. No. It's going to have clouds in it, but it's going to be a blue sky. All right. Good grief. Rough crowd. You can tell that I have inner wounds from many years of broadcasting. I know what you guys are like. Like a bunch of ravening wolves. Hey, all right, I better go before I get myself any more unsubscribers. This guy's a mess. You shouldn't listen to him. He's grumpy. Oh boy. Hello, Warren. Long time no see. I miss you too. Oh, Marcus. Good to see you. Yeah, no time. Old timers here. I know it's weird. I've talked a lot about my change in life. I do hope to start broadcasting more. Truly, I do. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is going to end this broadcast shortly. But I have finished the dark details. By the way, I just finished dark details. You may conclude from that the painting is overly dark, and you'd be exactly correct. This is too dark because I just finished a dark detail. Okay, so I'll come back to this. Not tomorrow. I'm tied up all day tomorrow. Probably Monday. Then I'll come back to this painting. The next thing I'll do will be my famous fuzz layer. Soft edges, translucent, light, local color. So I'll begin the bluing of the sky in soft, translucent, opaque paint applied thinly. So light colors. All right, and all this will be dry by then, so it won't smear, and it makes the job just a little bit easier. I am happy to report that I am quite happy with the feeling. I know, sorry, it's hard to broadcast a vertical painting on a horizontal screen. I'm quite happy